What's going on, everybody? So I've got a few folks here. Early King John, 9 straight, baby. That's right, 9 straight. Welcome, everybody. Who else we got? Yeah, it is a great game. Cole worked a little bit harder than he probably needed to, but he's still 6 shutout innings. So, and he was money. And I love seeing him strike out Josh Donaldson twice. That guy's such a dick. And he was a dick to Cole. But let's recap the game. Excuse me, I'm breathing heavy. I just ran up 3 flights to get here. So, Garrett Cole versus Kenta Maeda. And, Maeda he struggled for a bit, but Cole went, like I said, 6 innings, 5 hits, no runs, 1 walk, and 6 strikeouts. He's close to 200 strikeouts. Looks like he'll be the first starter in majors to hit the 200 strikeout plateau, so which is great. Another year of 200 Ks for him. But Tyler Wade started things off with an RBI single in the second, put him up 1-0. And then Judge, with a bases loaded walk, made it 2-0. They took advantage of Kenta Maeda struggling. This is something they need to do with a lot of other pitchers, take advantage of them not throwing strikes and just laboring and working extra hard. So they did that. They did a good job of that today. Stanton and Luke Voigt hit consecutive 2-run doubles in the 5th inning to make it 6-0 at that point. And then it was that way until the 8th, where Jorge Polanco hit a solo shot to make it 6-1. Off of Lucas Licky, who did throw 2 innings of a 1-run ball. So he did pretty well. But then Andrew Velasquez came up and hit his first major league home run. It was cool to see his family there and all that stuff, and to make it 7-1. And that's how the game ended. And Yankees closed them out in the 9th for another win, a 9th consecutive win. They could sweep tomorrow. If I think Montgomery's on the mound tomorrow, it was Hill, but now apparently it's Montgomery. So this could be a sweep, and that's perfect. Would be perfect momentum heading into the series against Atlanta in Atlanta. So that's going to be a tough series. But who we got here? Jace, what's going on? Lori, hey, let's keep that's right. Let's keep the train rolling. Jace, man, 9-game winning streak, man. I mean, I don't remember the last time the Yankees won 9 straight. I think it was a couple years ago, maybe 2019. But it's a hell of a winning streak, and this is what they needed to do. They picked up a game last night on Tampa, who lost in extra innings against the White Sox. They were winning today, so I don't think it'll remain the same. But they have at least a 1-game lead in the wild card standings now too. So if Boston loses, it turns to 2 games. So and they were already 4 up on Toronto in the wild card standings, but the Yankees are first in the wild card. So right now, keep working your way towards Tampa. Keep extending that wild card lead. Franchise, what's good, man? What's good? I'm loving it too, man. The wins keep coming. And it does look, like the makings of a good run, potentially a special end to the season. So amen to that, Justin. Dude, yeah, man. That kid, Velasquez, man, Bronx boy. It was really cool to see that. It was mom, his sister, his cousins. They're crying. It's really cool to see those types of moments. It really is. And when they have their first major league hit, their first major league home run, especially like that, that was a laser beam line drive, man. So it was really cool to see. I'm glad I was watching it. And, so it's fantastic. Now, I will point out something, and Lori just pointed it out too. There is a potential hurricane type storm coming through the Northeast, and it's supposed to slam New York and much of the East Coast. So there is a chance there might not be a game tomorrow. So, Lori, that is a good point. Thank you for bringing that up. So chances are we'll be rained out, and the Yankees already have a few makeup games with Toronto, at least 1 or maybe 2 for other rainouts. So this could be another one. It really could. So we'll see. Monty and Gill in Atlanta with a fully rested bullpen. One of them might be tomorrow, Justin. I think it might be Monty tomorrow. That's what they're saying. If it's him tomorrow, then Hill, obviously it'd be Hill and some other guys in Atlanta. But I would take both in Atlanta for sure. We'll just see what they do tomorrow. But and yes, dude, Jason, you made a great point. Cole finally got good run support. They put up 6 for him. And I said this recently, like he's had the same issue that Jacob deGrom had with the Mets. Like they don't get enough run support, and these guys are bona fide frontline aces. And even though deGrom's hurt, like the Mets haven't given him run support for years, man. Years. Like I don't know anybody else with a 1.6 ERA. He only wins like 8 games and has 280 strikeouts because again, he's getting freaking run support. So thankfully the Yankees did it today, and hopefully they'll continue to do that. He pitches better with a lead, even though he did work a little bit hard. He got himself in a jam, but he got himself out of a jam, and that's the sign of a true ace, man. That's what these boys do. They get out of jams, man. With big strikeouts too. And again, it was nice to see him strike out Donaldson twice, looking. Yeah, guy's a jerk, man. But yeah, I mean, yeah, franchise, you're right, man. Could be a chance game. Yeah, man. I would save Gill against Atlanta and let Montgomery play this one. Wanda, I would agree. I would agree. We'll do Hill against Atlanta, and then I don't know who's up after that, if it's Taillon or whatnot. But they'll have whoever they have up, and at that point, well, no, I don't think Clue will be back at that point. But I would take Hill and Taillon and someone else in Atlanta if that was the case. I think they'll still be. That's going to be a tough series. Atlanta's a really good team, really, and they made some key. Ever since they brought in Jock Peterson, they've been like 22-10. So they've really solidified themselves in the National League East with some of the other moves that they've made too. And I think they're up by 4 or 5 games now. So they're really showing to be a contender. So I would look out. I wouldn't sleep on Atlanta yet. They're going to be a tough series. 72-50. Yeah, man. Hopefully, Shy Sox win tomorrow. Yeah, I hope so too. Can I ask all of you, ever since we lost the Field of Dreams game, does it feel like reality has smacked us a little bit? Wanda, I would say, I think so. I mean, the White Sox were a tough team. Like, I honestly didn't expect the Yankees to win 2 out of 3. But I'm glad that they did after that first game. It was a winnable game. I mean, it was a winnable game. Even though Heaney gave up a bunch of runs, that lineup came back and the bullpen just blew it. So, unfortunately, and that was just kind of the way that it rolled there. But it was definitely the Yankees could have swept that series. So, but moving forward, I'm hoping that that was a little bit of a wake up call for them. It kind of spark plugged them a little bit, and a couple of these things have spark plugged them a little bit. I think the deadline acquisitions kind of sparked them a little bit too, woke some guys up. So, so I think a combination of things. Jace, hi from saying hello from New York, brother. Hello from New York. Yeah, man. I mean, yeah. You can use Andrew Heaney, you mean? Yeah, King John. It might be Hill, Heaney, and Taillon in Atlanta, or Hill, Taillon, and Heaney, or something like that. I think that's probably going to be the 3 over there, if I'm not mistaken. Which ain't that bad. I mean, as long as Heaney continues to pitch well, or pitches well again, I should say, they should be okay. As long as the bats don't fall asleep, because they have a young, dynamic lineup. And even though minus Acuna, they're still really, really good, and they're dangerous, man. They really are. Velasquez, yeah, man, but he's a well-spoken kid, Jason. He's just a class, act. He's a humble player, appreciating his opportunity, and I love the fact that he's a New York boy. He's a local kid who made it to the Yankees. And like I said before, a couple days ago, the last guy I remember that did that, a local kid making it, was Dylan Betances. Before that, I don't remember the last New York City kid to make the New York Yankees before Betances. I really don't. But it's still, this is I love these stories. I really, really do. It's just touching too. And again, he hustles, he plays small ball. So, it also makes us realize that we don't have to rush Gleyber Torres back. You don't. As long as he keeps playing well and producing, you don't have to rush him back. So we have, the energy, we have the players here in order to make sure that those guys can actually play some minor league games and transition back to the majors, instead of, them just coming in and dumping Velasquez and those guys not doing anything, which could happen and has happened. That's the thing I want to avoid. So I would keep Velasquez until proven otherwise. I mean, that's what I would do. Might get the second. So yeah, I mean, I agree, Wanda. It looks like it's probably going to be Hill, Heaney, and probably Taillon. I think if that's enough days rest for Taillon, that seems to be the lineup right now. I think, but I just hope Taillon keeps staying healthy and keeps playing the way he's playing, because he's pitching extremely well. He's familiar with the National League, so that's a good thing. Cole is also familiar with the National League, so he can at least talk to these guys about it. He's played Atlanta plenty of times, So we've gotten Rizzo's familiar with Atlanta pitchers. He's familiar with Atlanta being in the NL for his whole career. So we have guys that are on this team right now who can give the Yankees some valuable insight as to how to play Atlanta and how to beat Atlanta. And the Yankees obviously have beaten Atlanta before, but this is a good team, man. So I wouldn't sleep on Atlanta, not even a little. Monty and Hill against Atlanta. Justin, I think Monty's pitching tomorrow, man. I think. And that's what they had said. So there's one more game, I think, against Minnesota, right? Yeah, I think it's one more game. I think it's tomorrow. So, but if, yeah, I mean, like Lori said, the chances of us getting rained out are good. So that means we get pushed back, and then which in case makes it Monty, Hill, and probably Heaney, which I kind of like a little bit. I like a little bit better, but so that's the likely scenario if we incorporate the rain day, which is very likely to happen with this weather. Just everybody be safe, and you know how you have that feeling. What's this? Sheet, Rabid. You have the feeling in your gut when you have to. Oh, come on, dude. Come on, man. Come on, man. Justin, Cole, Taillon, Monty, Gill, Cortez. No one for Heaney. Well, I mean, for right now, Heaney's going to be there. They got to make sure they don't wear out Hill. They don't want to wear out Cortez either. So, you know, Hill's a young kid, so they have to be careful with him. So Heaney's going to stay there for now, but, you know, hypothetically in a 5-man, he's not part of the 5-man, particularly with his performance. But, you know, but I don't see him moving him just yet, especially after the last game he had. He's shown that he can actually contribute to the team. So that extra pitcher will come in handy. White Castle doesn't have the apple pies. No, they don't, man. McDonald's does. McDonald's. Did you see franchise? Did you see my video on my Instagram? Is that what you're talking about? My diehard Yankee fan 447 Instagram. My epic video. And let me know if you did, franchise. Yeah, I mean, Voigt's on fire, you know, and yeah, I mean his marketability. You're right; it does increase for a trade. But I think the question of the day is like they have to decide this offseason, the Yankees, Alan, that if they're going to move Voigt, it's got to be for a starting pitcher. First of all, he's got 3 years of control, and they have to re-sign Rizzo. So I think that's a main decision that the Yankees have to make. So you can essentially keep both, but I don't think that they will be on this season. But again, I've been wrong before. I have been wrong before. 2 games against the Braves. Oh, is it 2? Okay. I thought it was 3. And if that's the case, it'll probably be Montgomery and Hill. Good to know. For some reason, I thought it was 3. Okay. And the off day and Taillon will start. Yeah, okay. Thank you for that clarification. 2 against Atlanta and off day, and then we got Oakland, which will be another test for the Yankees. So, and Clint, yeah, I mean, signing back Rizzo, you know, and keep Voigt. That's what I would do if they can figure out a way to do it. I mean, I don't know. See, and I've said this before, like if they're going to keep those guys and you're going to keep Stanton and all them in the outfield, you have to have rotating days off. Stanton and Judge and even Gallo. Stanton has to have a day off every week. Consistently, so does Judge. And Gallo maybe every other week, so that you can rotate these guys into DH spots. Even Rizzo, you give him a DH and an off day too, and you avoid because these are all big boys. So I want to make sure that they have consistent off days so they can stay recovered and stay at full strength, man. But I mean, I would keep both if you can. Those are 2 legit bats, man. And Rizzo's an elite defensive first baseman. I think Voigt's bat offensive ceiling, his ceiling is higher with his bat, but Rizzo's got that glove, and he has some serious leadership and veteran leadership, intangibles and qualities that cannot be overlooked. Will they, Robert? I think it's going to cost probably 4 years, $80 million to get it done. So if they're willing to do that, I don't know. I really don't know. They will be reset under the threshold again after the season, so back down to 20%. So that's a decision for them to make, depending on what they have coming off the payroll the next couple of years after that. But I mean, it's an appealing option, man. It really is. Keeping him and Voigt is even a more appealing option, in my opinion. But I don't want to, have those guys at the expense of base running and other intangibles either. We need guys to move guys over. We need guys who can run the base. We need athletic players too. So neither one of them moves really well. Voit or Rizzo. So that's something to keep in mind too. But they're both quality hitters and just quality guys and quality players. So, and I think Voit has that chip on his shoulder now. He's going to want to prove himself. And again, he's under 3 more years, man, of team control after this season. So, I mean, you don't trade that type of team control unless you're getting a frontline starter or top, prospect package back. And that's my opinion. Again, that's what I would do. Time to move Torres as well. Yeah, I mean, it really depends. I mean, I don't know. I mean, this could be. I'm hoping it's shot in the dark with here, or shot in the pan with Velasquez. I mean, it'd be nice to keep a guy like that around, even if he's a super utility guy. But we have Tyler Wade's playing out of his mind right now too. So we can have 2 super utility guys, which not a bad thing, not a bad thing at all. But we'll see. I mean, Torres, he also has 3 more years of control. So these guys are all young, controllable players, and this is the first time the Yankees have had good young, controllable players in a batch for quite a long time. So that's something I think needs to be considered. And again, same kind of mindset as Voit. You don't move Torres unless you're getting a frontline starting pitcher in return. Again, to controllable one that has a couple years of team control left on a non-ridiculous contract. So that's the way I look at it. I mean, who would you move Torres for? I mean, who is the question? The Reds still need a shortstop, so that's a team that I would move him for Luis Castillo. And then whatever else is added to that package is something worth considering. Castillo's back up to his kind of ace level ways again. So, and he's not that old either. So he's a good, Cole needs a kind of a 1B or a solid, like legitimate frontline starting too. And even though these guys are playing out of their minds right now to rotation, I would still add another guy, a frontline starter, no matter what this offseason. They could take a flyer on Justin Verlander too, but we'll see. I mentioned that a few times too, and so have some other folks. Steven, man. Yeah, bro. I mean, movers are finishing up here at the Oliver. Dude, I'm in the same boat as you, bro. Moving from house to house. You're moving from apartment to spot. So I'm in that same boat. Our movers come next weekend, and they'll be moving the rest of the stuff. But you can see my office in the back. It's almost completely empty. So, and I've got a lot of other stuff to box. And I had a room full of wall-to-wall, ceiling-to-floor DVDs. I just packed up a bunch of boxes of that. And I got just a whole bunch of stuff to get packed. And I have a storage unit filled of stuff too. So moving is a tough one, man. I don't want to do it very often. Yeah, I mean, that's the only way I would move Torres too, is for a good pitcher. Controllable starting pitcher. The only way. So Rodon is a free. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Raymond, you're right too. Rodon is a free agent too. And, I know people talk about Noah Syndergaard. I would actually go for Rodon over Syndergaard. With as well as Rodon is pitched, he's probably going to get a qualifying offer. So that's something you have to keep in mind too. You'll have to forfeit, I think, 2 draft picks for him if you sign him. But he's a guy I would look at too as a starting pitcher. And again, you could plug him in there as a 2 or a 3, give him a 3-year deal or something like that. And he's young. Worth it. So I'm glad you brought that up, man. I'm really glad you brought that up, Raymond. That's a good one. Pitching for Torres, yeah, man. Yeah. And you don't have to give anything up for Rodon, just a couple of prospects. So, so it is a good option. And you could still move if you wanted to move, depending on what the Yankees decided to do too. At shortstop, like Gio's got better range than Torres, so you could plug him at short, but you bring Gio back to third, you keep DJ at second, and then you sign a shortstop if you trade Torres, or if you don't, you move Torres to second, but then what do you do with DJ? You have to move him to first base, which clogs up the Rizzo and Voit thing. So that's the conundrum there, deciding what to do kind of at first base and shortstop. It's going to be something that the Yankees really need to get that out, or figure out. Torres plus 2 prospects for Rodon's going to be a free agent, so we don't have to give up Torres for him. And, but he will be expensive. He'll probably be $20 million a year. And again, yeah, like you said too, and Justin makes a good point. I mean, he'll be expensive, and we still have, after next season, Judge and Sanchez are going to be free agents. They're going to cost a boatload of money, and if they're going to re-sign Rizzo after this season, I mean, he's going to cost a lot of money too. So they'll have a lot of financial commitments moving forward coming up. So that's all things to keep in mind. So yeah, I mean, good points, Justin. Florial fit. Didn't expect Greg Allen to come and do what he did, but he did, even though I've been talking about him since they acquired him this offseason. And I don't know if they expected to get Joey Gallo, so I still keep Florial around as a 4th or 5th outfielder. To me, if you have Greg Allen and Florial there on the bench, good shape. I like that. I like those two on the bench. But and they're both. Well, Florial is a lefty. Greg Allen's a switch hitter, but that still gives him versatility and athleticism. And Florial's got a good arm, and he covers a lot of ground in the outfield, so he's a valuable piece. Can't trade Torres for a free agent. Yeah, no, we can't. Yeah, could have traded him at the deadline, but the Yankees weren't going to do that. White Sox were not going to do that. They're both in the pennant race, particularly the White Sox, so they won't trade one of their top starters. But I think they'll try to re-sign him. He's just going to cost a boatload of money. And rightfully so. He's had a good year. So he's earned a good salary. Eddie Rosario franchise? Guardy calls it quits. It could be. Rosario, yeah. And maybe, but personally, I would keep what they had there, and have Florial and Greg Allen backing up the outfielders. That's just my opinion. Two cost control guys under team control for a bunch of years. Because if they do bring back Judge, he's going to cost a boatload. Stanton already cost a boatload, and we're catching a break right now with Gallo. Minnesota's paying the majority of his contract. So, and who knows if he comes back next year? He'll be 28, and if he plays well, they might want to re-sign him too. So, but we have him at least under team control for 2022. Also, 98% of which is being paid by Texas. So it doesn't make sense to move him if he's staying productive. But we'll see. Alex, they need to sweep Oakland. Dude, I would love if they swept Oakland, man. I really would. They have to stay as close to the Rays as possible. They're going to have to win pretty much like 10 out of every 13 or out of every 15 games, because I think that's what the Rays are going to continue to do. And they're just a really good team. So they're going to have to close that gap somehow if they want to catch them. And they're going to have to go on win a boatload of games. Gallo, yeah. He does have next year to prove it, Justin. He does. If he plays well, then he plays himself into a good contract. If he doesn't, then they'll probably offer him a qualifying and move on if he doesn't take it and signs with another team, and they'll get a draft pick or two. So either way, he's going to get paid somehow, unless he completely falls off the map next year, which I don't see him doing. He'll still have a lot of strikeouts and a bunch of home runs. So it'll be that way, and teams know that. They're okay with that, and he's a hell of an outfielder too. He's got a cannon for an arm. So he's got a lot of intangibles, which makes him appealing for a lot of teams. But they are in reset. They are. After the season, it resets down to 20%. Cashman was able to keep them under the $210 million threshold, and it resets from the higher number down to the 20%. So that's a nice job on Cashman's part. I wasn't sure he'd be able to do that while getting all these guys, but he did. I don't know how. Not going to ask. I'm going to enjoy it instead. And that reset's going to be really, really nice because they'll be more willing to spend again. And I do think that they'll spend this offseason, so depending on what they decide to do. But there are some attractive options coming, so we'll see. Stroman, pitching is definitely the focus franchise, I think, too. Stroman might be. Maybe. Might be. He's on a 1 year. I know that Taillon Walker's on, I think, a 2-year deal with a 3rd-year option. So Stroman could be a good option. He's shown interest in playing for the Yankees, so he could. It's possible. I would pick Rodon over him just to have another lefty in the rotation, but that's just me. So, but Stroman, franchise. Stroman's another good option, man. There's going to be more than a handful of pretty solid pitching options this offseason. So, and we'll see what the Yankees do. We'll see. It's going to be really, depending on how well they finish, that's going to be my kind of determining factor as to what they do this offseason. So, because they will be reset under the threshold, and I don't think they'll be afraid to go over it again now that they've gotten under it. So, love to see the Mets fans cry after. Dude, we were getting dumped on, Justin, by Mets fans a lot. Well, we're the New York team now. Yankees this, Yankees that, blah, blah, blah. I said, don't sleep on the Yankees, man. Don't sleep on them. Ever, 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 ever. So, and this is just living proof of that. With 40-plus trips to the IL, 30 dudes on there, like so many injuries and so many just ridiculous, situations, and the Yankees have still been able to stay in the playoff hunt and lead the wild card race. So I give him a lot of credit. I give credit to Cashman for making good moves, and Boone kind of being a steady hand, even though he can do some dumb things or answer some dumb questions sometimes. He's a steady presence and a steady personality, and that I think is refreshing for the Yankees. I really do, and it's something that's more of a calming factor, but. And he's not learning on the fly. He's got some managerial experience now either. So, but all managers tend to make bonehead moves. But it's the Yankees, and I said this recently: is when you're in New York, that stuff just gets microscoped and just analyzed so much more than anywhere else. So, mistakes look like gigantic ones all the time in New York. So it's unfortunate. Robbie Ray's well, that's true too. Robbie Ray's another one franchise. Free agent Kershaw. Yeah. Kershaw I'd probably avoid. Robbie Ray, I would consider. Carlos Rodon would be my first pick of those three. That'd be my first pick. I don't know if Kershaw, how well he'd fan out in the American League. I think he'd get pounded. So, but I mean, again, I could be wrong, but I don't see him leaving the Los Angeles Dodgers. I see them giving him probably 3 years, $100 million or something like that, and maybe retiring at 34, 35. And getting ready for his Hall of Fame speech, Kershaw. That's the way I see it, but we'll see. Especially if he starts to get close to 3,000 Ks and some other milestones, he might stick around for a little bit longer, too. So, trade for Marquez. That was one of the guys too. Marquez is one of the guys I thought they should go after at the deadline, even before the deadline. But the Rockies never made him available, and then they didn't really. It didn't really seem like they wanted to move Bard either, or Story. But they seem to be the most disinterested in moving any of their pitchers, even if they got a good haul in return. I don't know why, but I think it could be a tactical mistake by the Rockies. But if somebody's able to pry Marquez out of there, good for them. If it's the Yankees, fantastic. I'd be really curious to see who gets him, if anybody gets him. Yeah, man, Rodon, seems to be the most kind of fit for New York, in my opinion. And looks like some other folks agree as well. So it's good insight, guys. Good insight, franchise. Yeah, tough one. We're really only made this tough minor things. Starting pitching, yeah, man, we made some moves this offseason, some bullpen, some here and that, but starting pitching was the big one. And, they did acquire Jamison Taillon, who in the beginning it didn't really pan out that much, but now it's working out like, it's like a stroke of genius for Cashman. And it's just glad that he's got his mechanics right. He's staying healthy, and he's pitching extremely well. It's really, really fantastic. And we have him for next year too. So that was a great acquisition, a really, really great trade that Cashman make. If we can keep Rizzo and Voit, this offense, Sefer. Yeah, it is. It's so deep. And it is a deep lineup. You're right, Justin. There's so much depth everywhere. And even guys in the minor leagues who are kind of banging to come up, banging on the door, they have depth kind of everywhere. So, and it's a good thing to have. The Yankees haven't always had that, and it's good that they have it now. They just have to do the right things with them. So, and they got to be smart about it. And that's where kind of rotating guys in and out of DH to me is a good idea. So, yeah, man. Dude, it's yeah, but yeah. Gallo's got to stop. He's got to cut down on the strikeouts, man, and maybe get a little bit more walks, draw a couple more, hits and stuff like that. He's just got to get on base more and take advantage of his base running skills. And Gallo just needs to strike out a lot less. So the home runs will come, but at the very least, he's not swinging at balls 8 or 10 feet outside the zone. So I'll give him that. He's getting beat by better pitches. Yankees better when the mediocrity is Torres is exposed. Torres has a talent. His talent level is extremely high, but he hasn't put it together all across the board as a complete player yet. He's had a killer offensive season, but there's still a lot that remains desired when it comes to Torres. So I'm hoping he can get it together. He's young. He's only 24, so he's got a lot of time to figure stuff out and get better. I'm hoping that he gets the opportunity to do that here. But if he moves, it's got to be for starting pitching. That's the only person I would move Gleyber Torres for, is just a legitimate frontline starting pitcher. No one else. Nobody. Not even 2 super relievers. No, starting pitcher. Clint, I don't know, man, if they can move Hicks or not, because he's missed the entire season. Like, he's not going to get any opportunity to show that he's healthy. I mean, he might get moved in spring training next year if he shows that he's healthy. That's when moves start to be made. I don't know whether he'd be moved before that, because then what a wrist injury is, a lot of your swing is dependent on what you do with your wrist and the rest of your body. So they're going to have to confirm that is 100% healthy before any trade is consummated. But yeah, Sports Star made a good video. You should watch it. I'll check it out. I'll definitely check it out. Mike Rotunda and Hickson. Yeah, man. I mean, I saw Hicks in the dugout too at the end of the game, just hanging out watching the game. So I did see him too. But I'm gonna wrap this up, guys. I appreciate you guys coming. And if there obviously is a game tomorrow, we'll do the recap. I have a different video coming out tomorrow. So whether they play or not, you'll still see a nice video for some fun baseball stuff. But I'll obviously be up here for the next recap. So I appreciate you guys. Have a great weekend if I don't see you tomorrow, and I'll talk to you next time.